Good to have you with us. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. Our thanks to Rich, Jeff, who is out right now, and Ryan Penny, who's screening the calls. And thanks to our affiliates for carrying the program. And thanks to you, because we know you're going to make it another great program. You're the ones who drive Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And I am Jerry Escher, along with Debbie Georgiani. How you doing, Deb?
Hello. I'm here, alive and well. Well,
good.
Not so well, but okay, I'm here. Today we're talking about the twin hearts, the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And so we want to hear from you. Let's set the table, if you will, for the conversation, and then we want you to weigh in and share your understanding of the twin hearts, your devotion to the twin hearts, and the spiritual graces that have come forth from the twin hearts. Here's the number: 1-833-288-3986. That's 833-288-EWTN. Okay, so here's how it came about that we put this on the show calendar. Jerry, my mom, Connie, her confirmation name is Margaret. And you can probably figure out where she got Margaret from Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque. And Saint Margaret Mary was the French saint and mystic in the 17th century that really made the devotion spread after the visions she received from Jesus. And Jesus asked her to spread the devotion to the Sacred Heart. Now, we can trace, devotions to the Sacred Heart and even the Immaculate Heart of Mary way back centuries, even to the 2nd century, Justin Martyr, and way back at the beginning of when Christianity was really spreading. But it was really coming out of France, and Saint John. Now, help me say this. Is it Eudes? St. John Eudes?
I've heard it pronounced Eudes. Yeah, that's
Eudes. Okay,
but it may be different if it's French. I don't know.
Okay, St. John Eudes in the 17th century really developed the devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary, but it was Saint Margaret Mary that took it and spread it. Okay, and it's an amazing devotion. A lot of people don't really grasp it or understand it, and don't know really how to utilize it in their spiritual life. And the reason why I wanted to do this topic is because my mother has a gigantic picture of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and when we moved her to her new facility, obviously it didn't fit there. So I've got it, and I'll be putting it next week, maybe behind here in the studio. But it's just beautiful. And my mother always had a strong devotion to the Sacred Heart. She always said, stay close to the heart of Jesus. And the interesting thing is when you look at the Sacred Heart, Jerry, the Sacred Heart, that heart in Jewish tradition, it means everything. It's the life-giving force, okay? And the heart of Jesus, the heart that he had for all of humanity. And that's why he died for us. And then you look at Mary's Immaculate Heart, the loving heart she had for her son and for us as our maternal mother. I mean, it's an amazing thing. So anyway, long story short, the Twin Hearts was always my big devotion when I was in ministry. I always had it placed in my office. It was the first piece of spiritual art in my office. And I just was wondering how others feel about this devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary.
Okay, you can weigh in on this, 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. You get early callers, get to go on, of course, right away at the start of the show. One thing we don't like is getting to the end of the show and not being able to fit everybody in. So do join us here. If you have a devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the Immaculate Heart of Mary, or, of course, both of them. We call them the Twin Hearts. And we do know spiritually, theologically, their hearts are really completely united when you think about it. Oftentimes, Debbie, we think, well, we can pray, that Mary would earn us graces and favors. But really, they are nothing other than what her son would will. Mary would never will anything or grant any prayers for us or intercede for us for anything other than what her son would want. So those two hearts are intimately united and perfectly in sync in terms of what they will for us, and they will our good. So do you have a devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus or the Immaculate Heart of Mary? My family, Debbie, goes way back. My family in Seattle, our parish was Sacred Heart, and my uncle became a priest out of that parish. Okay. And my parish right now is Sacred Heart in Palm Desert, California. So the Sacred Heart has always kind of followed me around, and of course, I love Our Lady and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So,
well, Jerry, just what you said about the mystical unity of the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary, Saint John Eudes wrote this, and he taught this, and it's very interesting. So folks, listen up. You must never separate what God has so perfectly united. So closely are Jesus and Mary bound up with each other that whoever beholds Jesus sees Mary. Whoever loves Jesus loves Mary. Whoever has devotion to Jesus has devotion to Mary. Exactly what you were saying, Jerry, and it's so true. And this is a wonderful wealth of graces for us to tap into when we have a strong devotion to the Sacred Heart. But a lot of us don't realize that is available to us. And so this is why we're doing this show, and maybe we can have our listeners weigh in and see what their understanding is of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. 833-288-EWTN.
Maybe like me and perhaps Debbie, maybe many other people, you look at your life, you look back and you say, wow, the Sacred Heart of Jesus has been kind of there, a part of my life, sort of not even really all that conscious to me. Like I said, my family's parish from my childhood, from my birth, was Sacred Heart, and that's currently my parish. Maybe you go to a parish that is under the patronage of the Sacred Heart, or a parish that is, named Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish, or you belong to a prayer group or something that somehow you have the patronage, the coverage, the support, the graces coming from these two hearts, and you want to weigh in and just share what that's meant for you in your life, and maybe as a family, have you enthroned the Sacred Heart in your home? Have you enthroned? Debbie and I, in fact, are going to be at a pledge drive in Seattle next week at Sacred Heart Radio. And Debbie, if you remember, up in the studio, right there in the studio, Ron Belter and the staff have the two hearts, the little icon, right, the icons of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So
yep. Absolutely. So do you have the twin hearts or the Sacred Heart or the Immaculate Heart displayed prominently in your home? Could you share with us what that means for you? And when other people come in, do you spend time, explaining that to them, your devotion? It's a beautiful, beautiful devotion with just a multitude of graces. And I just wanted to make sure we have a very vibrant discussion on this so that we can all walk away a little bit changed, a little bit closer to God, and maybe adopting the Sacred Heart of Jesus and Immaculate Heart of Mary as a special devotion for your family. 833-288-3986. This is your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And when we come back, we're going right to the phones to hear what you have to say.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. And we are talking today about the twin hearts, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the Immaculate Heart of Mary. What do these mean to you? What does the love of Jesus mean to you? How has Jesus shown his love to you? The Sacred Heart, of course, as Debbie said, the heart in the Jewish tradition was really the seat of life. It meant everything. So how has Jesus' love through his Sacred Heart manifested itself in your life? Or how is Mary? How's Mary, and through her Immaculate Heart, been an intercessor and an advocate and a help in your life? Share these, because a lot of people, Debbie, are, I think, unclear about, how we practice devotions in Catholic spirituality and don't really understand that. So those who have a devotion to the Sacred Heart or the Immaculate Heart, and you have just received graces and answered prayers from them in their unified wills, give us a call, 833-288-3986. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Jerry, you said something at the beginning of the show, being surrounded by the Sacred Heart at schools, in hospitals, even at the radio station that we're going to next week to do the Share-a-thon. You hear the term, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the Immaculate Heart of Mary. It's all around us. And it's important for us to tap into what that exactly means for us. And that's why we're having this very healthy discussion. So I think that's really important, Jerry, because as you were talking, I was thinking of all the times growing up, I heard, we're going to Sacred Heart Parish. We're going to be playing basketball at Immaculate Heart. You know what I mean? And so you hear it all the time, but does it really penetrate?
Okay, phone number is 833-288-3986. Let's go to the phones. We have Father Dwight with us first, listening on WSFI Catholic Radio 88.5 in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Father Dwight, great to have you on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Welcome.
Yes, I'm most happy to talk on this topic. As I was telling your screener when I called in, I wrote my dissertation on the historical development and theological foundations for devotion to the hearts of Jesus and Mary.
Wow.
Beautiful. What was it? What made you choose that, Father? What made you choose that? Out of the billions of things you could write a dissertation on, what was so attractive about that to you?
Well, I've always had a devotion to the hearts of Jesus and Mary, and actually, the director of my dissertation suggested the topic because in the 1980s and through the 90s, and even into the present new millennium, there were a number of conferences on the theme of the union of the hearts of Jesus and Mary. And Pope St. John Paul II gave a whole series of talks on the hearts of Jesus and Mary and talked about what he called their covenant or union between the two hearts that began at the Incarnation, when Mary gave her fiat, when, as he so beautifully put it, the heart of Jesus began to beat beneath the heart of Mary. And we're coming up to that feast, just in another couple of weeks, the Annunciation of the Incarnation.
Wow. Well, Father, when you heard the introduction when we were talking about it. It goes all the way back several centuries to second century, Justin Martyr. But we talked about Saint John Eudes and how he really taught on this devotion. But then it was Saint Margaret Mary. Is that all accurate? And can you add anything more to that can help us fall deeply in love with this devotion, Father?
Well, actually, the devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Pope Pius XII teaches in his encyclical, Hauriatus Aquas, 1956 encyclical on devotion to the Sacred Heart, that this devotion has always been in the Church. It begins with the piercing of Christ's heart. And I like to say the first devotee to the heart of Jesus, the pierced heart of our Lord, is the Virgin Mary, because she understood what that pierced side and heart of Jesus meant. And her heart was united to the heart of Christ at the foot of the cross in suffering. And, that's why we call her the associate or co-redemptrix. She's the associate in the very act of redemption, because, that love in her heart was united to the heart of her Son. And with the Virgin Mary's heart, the Immaculate Heart of Mary, that devotion really begins with the Gospels, the Gospel of St. Luke, twice St. Luke makes reference to the heart of Mary. Mary kept all these things, pondering them in her heart. He says that twice. And then there's a reference to Mary's heart, indirect, but it helps with the beginnings of devotion with Simeon's prophecy at the presentation, where he tells Mary that this child will be the rise and the fall of many, and like a sword that will pierce your soul. But from the 3rd century, a writer, Origen, began to speak of that sword of sorrow piercing Mary's heart, and the tradition kept that up. And that's why we see, those images, those beautiful images of the pierced heart of Mary and the 7 sorrows, the 7 swords through her chest, piercing her heart. That goes back to the Servites in the 13th century.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio, talking about devotion to the twin hearts, the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. If you have a comment, a question, something you would like to weigh in on the conversation, it's 833-288-3986. We will get to some other calls here shortly. Father, can we keep you a couple more minutes? I think we have a couple of, since you wrote your dissertation
Sure.
on this, I'm sure you probably didn't plan on being the, quote, guest on the show today, and we won't keep you too long, but since you did write your dissertation on this.
Well, I just happened to turn it on, and then I heard you speaking on this topic. I thought, well, I have to call in, and actually my dissertation is being published into a book by the Friars of the Immaculate. It should be coming out soon on, a more popular version of it, and edited down, but it's, that tells of the whole history of the devotion from the very beginnings up to the present time. So I'm hoping it will spread devotion and real love for the hearts of Jesus and Mary.
Well, I'm glad that, like you said, it'll be on a little bit more of a popular level. I'm sure a dissertation is more, theological and academic and so forth. But for the sake of those who are listening right now, Father, and for me and Debbie and all of us who kind of try and, consume these kinds of things on a more popular level, a lot of people get confused, even concerned, when we sort of, we're not equating Mary with Jesus here, Father, but we're putting these two hearts sort of together in a devotion. And some people would say, well, Jesus is God, and we shouldn't elevate Mary to that place and so forth. But her role in salvation history, talk about why we are able to really have a single devotion to both the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary.
Well, because as St. Louis de Montfort put it so well, we go to Jesus through Mary. We don't put Mary on the same level as Jesus, no, but she, from all eternity, God decreed that Mary would be united with Jesus in the plan of redemption and salvation. And Blessed Pius IX speaks of this in his bull defining the Immaculate Conception. In one and the same eternal decree, God planned that, his Son would take flesh and that Mary would be the mother of Jesus. And Jesus came to us through Mary. God's plan does not change. It's not that God had to do it this way, but God chose to do it this way so that Mary is inextricably united with her Son, and the union of the two hearts really portrays this beautifully, because the heart is the symbol of interiority. Okay, the interior life of the person, and it is the symbol of Jesus's divine and human love for God his Father, for all of us. And it is the symbol also of, with Mary, of her love for God, her love for her Son, Jesus Christ, and her love for all of us. And I like to say when I'm preaching that we enter into the pierced heart of Jesus through the pierced heart of Mary. Okay. Mary's heart was pierced by that sword of sorrow on Calvary at the foot of the cross. And we realize that Mary isn't equal to to, her Son, Jesus Christ, but she is the gateway to the heart of our Lord, okay? Her sorrowful and immaculate heart.
Right. Wow. Father, I went to Catholic school, so I always have to get this correct. Can I call you Father Dwight or Father Campbell? Which one? Or what would you prefer?
I go by Father Campbell usually, by the last name, yes. So.
Okay, so Father Campbell is with us, and I wanted the reason why I was kind of focusing on the saints that had made the devotion popular, and I had understood that too, Father, about it being at the cross, of the piercing of Jesus's heart on the cross. That's where that the love that he had for all of humanity and what he suffered for all of us, can transcend into how we utilize that in our spiritual life and how we understand to be grateful for it. And the reason why I was bringing up the saints is because why did through the centuries, Father, these different saints like Saint Margaret Mary, Saint John, Pope Leo, Pope John Paul II, all these saints, all of a sudden kind of pick it up and decide. Now I know that Saint Margaret Mary, it's because she had the visions from Jesus, but why did they feel the need to promote it so strongly throughout the community? And then I think wasn't it Pope Leo XIII that consecrated all of mankind to the Sacred Heart of Jesus? So tell me what's behind
that. He did
that
in 1899. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with devotions, they develop over the years. And these devotions developed. You mentioned Justin Martyr. He was one of the first to start devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, looking at the pierced heart on Calvary, chapter 19 of John's Gospel. But the devotion, developed over the years through, the Church's teaching, people reflecting on this, the preaching of saints especially. And the devotion to both hearts was very strong, especially from the Middle Ages on. But you could say it really took wings, the devotion to the Sacred Heart, with the revelations to St. Margaret Mary. And Jesus told her, he wanted devotion to his heart. He wanted a feast day, to his heart. That's the Friday after the octave of Corpus Christi. And the devotion to the Immaculate Heart of Mary really, to help solidify it, Mary at Fatima spoke about, her Immaculate Heart and how she wanted, devotion to her heart and communions and reparation to her heart. And that idea of reparation to the Sacred Heart of Jesus really took hold with Jesus' revelations to Margaret Mary. And because it was understood that Mary's heart was in union with Jesus' heart, devotion and reparation to her heart began after the revelations to St. Margaret Mary, because people realized that the hearts are united, and we should do reparation to Mary's heart as well. And that was really confirmed from heaven with the revelations by Our Lady to the three children, two of whom are saints now, Jacinta and Francisco. And I hope soon Sister Lucia will be a saint as well, the Fatima seers.
Well, we blessedly and providentially have Father Campbell with us on the air from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Father, we don't intend to keep you too long, but actually we got a couple people have called in to ask you questions.
You'll have to be quick. I'm heading into a dinner right now, or primarily a luncheon for Catholic Charities, and I have to be there in just a couple of minutes. So I could take one question, I think, okay?
All right, we have just one, yeah. Evangeline, hold on, and Lindsay, let's go to Kathy in Walla Walla, Washington. And Kathy, you have, I believe, a question for, can we do that, you guys? I think we can, yeah, there we go. Kathy, got to be real quick with your question. We got about a minute. Are you there, Kathy? Kathy in Walla Walla.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, real quick. Got to get the question out in about 10 seconds.
The miraculous medal has an image of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary on the back, and there's a space in between. And I've heard the comment that we should tell people that space is for our heart, to be in between the two hearts. And I'm wondering if that's something that is accurate to tell people.
Well, I would say that's a nice thought. I really haven't heard that. The hearts are sometimes portrayed together. I think it's just, different ways of expressing the devotion. And actually, there was a Belgian mystic named Berthe Petit, and Jesus appeared to her back in the early 1900s, about 1913, 14, 15, and Berthe Petit saw an image of the hearts of Jesus and Mary conjoined, okay, like together, touching one another, and she drew an image of that.
And about 30 seconds, Father, before break.
To communicate. Yeah. Okay, this was to communicate, the truth that these hearts are really united as almost one heart, okay, in their love for each other and love for us. Okay.
All right, Kathy, thanks for that call. Evangeline, Lindsay, and the others, we're going to get to you. Father Dwight Campbell, thank you so much. We put you to work, and you didn't expect that, but we really appreciate it. God bless you, Father.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
you for your vocation.
And keep up your great work.
Thank you for your indeed for your vocation. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Your calls, your takes on the Twin Hearts coming up here straight ahead. Stay with us.
We're so glad you're with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about the Twin Hearts today, the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And we had such a treat with Father Dwight Campbell, who wrote his dissertation on the Twin Hearts. And so he educated us, got us excited about this devotion, and see how God works. It's so amazing how the Holy Spirit works. That's why this show is going strong, because of everybody's participation. So thank you again to Father for weighing in on this and helping us to grow in the love for this devotion. Real quickly, Jerry, The Good Fight with Barbara McWiggin. Oh, do I love Barbara McWiggin. This Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Folks, please, you're going to get so hooked. Barbara McWiggin does a great job, great work, ministry work, and she puts on just a wonderful show for all of us to understand things better. So check it out, 2 p.m. Eastern Time.
Okay, back to your calls. And Evangeline, thank you for your patience. You called in very, very early in the program to talk about the Twin Hearts. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, listening in Madison, Ohio on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Evangeline.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, Jerry. I called before, and it's Vangie for my nickname. And
oh, sure. Vangie, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you guys?
Hi,
good to hear from
Vangie.
you
How are
again.
you?
I'm well, and that was nice to hear from Father Dwight. I just want to thank him for, more information about the two hearts. But anyways, so I got married 2000, and I married to Mike, who's an American, and we had a reception in the Philippines. In the Philippines, you mostly see the two hearts cemented, like in a big houses in the gate, so it's permanently there. But I grew up poor, so we normally had just the pictures of the two hearts. So when we got there for our reception, that was way back in 2000. Me and my husband went to a Catholic store, and we bought each other a gift. So we decided to buy this really beautiful picture of the two hearts for ourselves. So we agreed to that, and then we brought it here in the States, and it's in our house now, in our kitchen, like right there forever. And so every time I cook dinner and we gather up for dinner with me, like my husband and then my three girls, the heart is always there because Jesus, the Sacred Heart, just brings me home. I feel home, even though, my family in the Philippines, now I have my new family. It's just home. I feel home. And then with the Immaculate Heart of Mary, that maternal love, because my mom's in the Philippines right now and then I'm here. So I feel that maternal love, and then I pray to her to give that maternal love to my mom and my sisters who aren't not here with me. And then I pray for my in-laws, my three beautiful, wonderful three sister-in-laws and my mother-in-law. Just a lot of moms that I know. I pray to the Sacred Heart, Immaculate Heart of Mary. It's just it's right there. When you walk in our house, you see the kitchen. It's in the center, like you see, and then there's like a little light bulb in the back of the frame, so it's shining through the house. And when we go to bed, we turn off all the lights. You'll see that one sparkling light from the two hearts. It's just beautiful. What an opportunity to be, to have that picture.
And Vangie, I'm assuming that you have that twin heart image blessed. And if,
Yes.
okay, good. Because to release those spiritual graces, always have your spiritual art, your spiritual images blessed, or any item of devotion. So the sacramentals really unleash those full graces. But Vangie, I just wanted to say, I couldn't agree with you more, because I grew up with the Sacred Heart of Jesus, like I shared at the beginning of the show. And it wasn't until about 20 years ago that I was introduced by a wonderful priest that I was working for to the twin hearts. And he said to me, Deb, you have such a devotion to the Sacred Heart. Why don't you have a devotion to the twin hearts? And I said, I felt silly, but I said, Father, I'm not quite sure what you mean. And he said, and he showed me, and the same thing, Vangie, the same exact thing happened to me. I look at her maternal love. I see his precious heart of what he did for me, for me and all of humanity. And it's just so comforting to be under that protection and to avail yourself to those graces of the twin hearts, especially if you go along with the First Friday devotions, First Saturday devotions. You are consecrating yourself to the twin hearts, your family to the twin hearts. There's many graces that come from it. And I just want to say, Vangie, thank you so much. And I've been learning a lot about the Philippines. You should be very proud, because the Catholic, the folks that are devoted to Catholicism in the Philippines, boy, oh boy, is it strong. Oh my goodness, I've been reading all about it, and you should be so proud of your heritage and what they have done for Catholicism.
Oh, absolutely. I am humbled, and we were bringing up to raising our children, and we want them to grow up as Catholic forever. And it's hard, especially raising children these days. They're surrounded with so many temptations. So I think the Catholic faith will help us raise them. So we just have to pray. And the two hearts, they're right there. And you're right, the maternal love of Mary, and especially when I make dinner, I see her picture there, and I ask her, please, Mary, help me make this dinner delicious for my family. And actually, I'm blessed that so far so good. They like the food I make.
Wonderful. All right, Vangie, thank you so much for your call. Thanks for listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and being a regular part of the program. We sincerely appreciate it. God bless you, and keep those great meals coming for your family with the help of Mother Mary on the Immaculate Heart icon that you have there. I'm so glad that she and you both, Debbie, mentioned the maternal aspect of Mary, because sometimes we think, Mary, we love Mary because she's the mother of Jesus. She said yes to God, and through her yes, and of course through her body, through her will, her total acceptance of God's will, she brought us the Savior of the world. But as we know from Catholic theology and from Scripture and the Gospel of John, at the cross, Jesus says, "Woman, behold your son; son, behold your mother." And so Jesus gave, and John never refers to himself by name in his Gospel. He always refers to himself as the beloved disciple. So really, any one of us who, God willing, if we're beloved disciples, we can plug ourselves into all of those places. And that reference to, son, behold your mother. And it says from that moment on, he took her into his home. So that's what we ought to do as well as our spiritual mother.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're moving on to Lindsay, and Lindsay is in Rhode Island, also listening on the Station of the Cross. Lindsay, thank you so much for waiting, and welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Sure.
I just wanted to reflect on, in college, I was part of a Catholic sorority, and we had a devotion to the Immaculate Heart. And one of the things we also had devotion to was the 10 virtues of Mary. Mm-hmm. And I just think that to me, like reflecting on the Immaculate Heart of Mary, is such a big part of who she was and how she just so beautifully lived out those virtues and perfectly, and just how me as like a wife and a mother, and just how that's like a tangible way for me to kind of strive for that, like to look at the Blessed Mother. Obviously, she was perfect, she was sinless, but just to see how like that is a tangible way to live that out and to imitate her way is just through her 10 virtues and how they're so applicable to daily life.
Oh, absolutely. And Lindsay, did your sorority get together and meditate on the 10 virtues? Is it something that you did together, or did you do it separately? Or, I mean, obviously you've taken that into your life post college, but I just wanted to say, like, what did you do at the sorority that it got so embedded in you and became part of you?
So we would meet once a week, and we would just have like they call it a Lord's Day, so just kind of to reflect on the scriptures and just to, in our covenant, we had like a little covenant that was focused on like Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary, as I said, and just striving to imitate them in our lives. And so it was just kind of part of that covenant, and to me, it just kind of always stood out to me as part of my sorority. It's not I took with me as just. It was very applicable to me as far of all the things that we did together, and we would do like holy hours and rosaries and weekly mass together, daily mass, and that to me, just of all of that, just what for some reason just always stuck with me, because I felt like, as I said, it was so applicable. Like I could really take it and call me on to holiness of like, okay, like that ardent charity, that blind obedience and profound humility and universal mortification, like all those strong virtues of how I can just strive to live it out in my daily life.
Wow. That is good. You know a lot about this, Lindsay, and that's obvious. Just curious, you don't have to answer this, but it sounds like you went to Franciscan University, did you?
I did, yes.
Oh,
so
you
did. So did I, Lindsay. I went there too, Lindsay. So you mentioned the Lord's Day, and I thought, okay, I don't know how many, even on solid Catholic university campuses have that. Just explain what that is, just in about 30 seconds for our listeners, because it was such a beautiful part of campus life at Franciscan.
What Lord's Day was? Yeah,
the Lord's Day, how we celebrated the Lord's Day, on the eve before Sunday. Yeah.
So we would gather together. And like around 4 o'clock, there was many different Catholic sororities on campus, and they each were focused on different things pertaining to the Catholic faith. And so we would get the whole kind of structure of Lord's Day would say when you gather together and you'd read the scriptures that were going to be for the next day and kind of break it open together and discuss it. And then we'd kind of have the bread and the wine just kind of symbolic of what would take place at Mass next day, and go around and say an intention, something you're thankful for. And it was and then there'd be songs and singing and like praise and worship. And it was just a time to really bring your intentions and your reflections as a way to like start the weekend on with a pure heart and in good intentions, and to prepare yourself for the Lord's Day the next day.
Yeah, I remember it very well. Beautiful, beautiful times there at Franciscan on the campus there. Debbie, you had something else you wanted to?
Just real quickly, because we're going to get messages and calls about this, Lindsay. I won't put you on the spot, so I'm just going to read the 10 virtues of Mary. Tell me if I've got them correct. Ardent charity, profound humility, universal mortification, constant mental prayer, blind obedience, divine wisdom, surpassing purity, angelic sweetness, lively faith, heroic patience. Are those the virtues
Correct.
you're referring to?
Mm-hmm. That's the yes.
Wow. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Lindsay, thank you so
really
much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. God bless, Lindsay. Have a great day. Take two with Jerry and Debbie talking about the twin hearts, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Hey, if anybody has done the devotions, I believe it's the five first Saturdays devotion to Mary, and then
Rosary,
there's the five first Fridays devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. 833-288-3986 if you'd like to weigh in on how that devotion has helped you in your spiritual life. Yeah. Susan is next in Alexandria, Virginia, listening to Take Two on Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Susan. Thanks for your call.
Oh, hi. Thank you. I just want to state I'm not formally a Catholic, but I listen quite a bit and to your radio program, and I just want to know how I can get illustrations in color, preferably of the twin hearts, the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary, on the internet, or how can I get the illustrations of those?
Well, you know what? Yeah, Susan, absolutely. The first place I would check if I were you would be the EWTN religious catalog. It's the gift shop operated by the network that you're listening to right now, EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. And if you go to EWTNRC, it's short for Religious Catalog, EWTNRC.com. I know they have a search feature there, and you can put that in. I would bet my salvation that they have images of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And Rich, our producer, if they don't have any in there, tell them to get them quick, because I don't want to lose my salvation over this. But I'm pretty sure that they would, Susan. That'd be one place I would tons. Yeah, they have
tons.
Yeah. So what do you think, Debbie?
I think that's a great start for you to go to EWTNRC.com, because there's plenty of images there for you to have for your own personal devotion, Susan, and for your home. What I would recommend, because you said you're not, I think you said not Catholic yet, but you're part of the family, and so when you get that Twin Hearts, please walk in to a Catholic church or call them first and find out if there's someone there that can bless the Twin Hearts, and you just walk into the front office and say, I would like this image blessed. And a deacon or a priest will bless it. You may have to leave it there overnight, and then you can pick it back up, because sometimes they're not always there on the campus. But Susan, you deserve to do that, because obviously the good Lord is calling you into the love of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And see, I'm getting very emotional. And so you deserve to get those Twin Hearts blessed in your home and around you, because you are obviously craving that and seeking that. And so the good Lord, there's no accident with the good Lord. He's clearly did this show maybe just for you, Susan. That's how much he loves you. And I just think it's amazing. So I hope you go to EWTNRC.com, get the images, and let us know and keep us posted, because we just think that's a beautiful thing that you're adopting now.
I could use to call them.
I'm sorry.
Say that again, Susan.
Religious catalog. Yeah.
The phone number?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't have it.
Well, we don't have it right in front of us, but there is a number. If you go to the website, it's right there, I believe.
Yeah, or we can see if our producer Rich can pass it over to us here while we have you on the line here, because I did have a quick follow up, Susan, if you don't mind. I'm wondering, this interest that you have in the Twin Hearts, and getting this image for your home, is this part of and feel free to not answer, but is this part of an overall larger kind of interest or curiosity in the Catholic faith? You started.
Just so. Well, not well. I mean, it could be for all religions. I mean, all Christians also, but just so I can relate better to, and get more, heighten my faith.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Beautiful. We got the number. Go ahead.
Yeah, we did get the number, Susan, for the religious catalog. It's 1-800-854 1-800-854-6316. And I'm going to repeat this for you. 1-800-854-6316. Did you get that down, Susan?
Yes, I did.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Susan.
you for looking that up. And I'm looking forward to, seeing those or getting some images of that, and just so that I can, picture it in my mind and my heart, so I can enhance my faith.
Well, once you do I've heard it said many times, and my mother used to say this all the time, Susan, and she's 88 years old. Once you start falling in love with the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary, be prepared. Be prepared for so many graces and blessings, because you have a deeper relationship and a better understanding, and you feel the protection and you feel the graces, and it's pretty amazing. So, Susan, God bless you. That is just your beautiful heart is shining through, and we just love that. And so this is why we do this show, because we want to help everyone get closer to God. And so this really made our day. Thank you for gracing this beautiful conversation today.
Thank you, Susan. Appreciate that. And, folks, EWTN has a number of news outlets. There's News Nightly on TV, National Catholic Register, the great newspaper, but also online. There's the Catholic News Agency, and it's right there at your fingertips. It's fast, it's free, it's reliable, it's news from a Catholic perspective. And if you are looking to find out, not only what's going on in the world, but how we can understand this through a Catholic lens, a faithful, godly lens, check out this online service from EWTN News. It's CatholicNewsAgency.com. That's where you'll find it.
And real quickly, Jerry, I just wanted to bring up again, because Father Dwight Campbell brought this, we were talking about this a little bit. On June 11th, 1899, Pope Leo XIII consecrated all of mankind to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And then again, John Paul II in 1984 consecrated Russia and the rest of the world to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. There's a reason for those consecrations. There's a reason. We are, in our ingratitude and the offenses that we make to the Sacred Heart and the Immaculate Heart, it's important that we get back in line again. And so I wanted to draw attention to that, because there's a reason that these popes do these things, is to help us all grow in holiness. And so let's hear what Mary has to say in Dallas, Texas on Guadalupe Radio Network. Thank you, Mary, for waiting, and welcome.
Oh, good morning. I wanted to share the story about my father-in-law. My husband, their son, was not Catholic. We were married in the church. But his parents obviously were not Catholic, and they really didn't go to church hardly at all. And years ago, back in the 80s, I think it was, I sent them one of the cards from some ministry, I'm not sure which, that had the beautiful color images. On one side was the Sacred Heart, and the other side was the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And you could stand that card up, open it up, and you could see both images at the same time. Well, I sent that to my in-laws, and to my surprise, they kept that card on display, I believe, for the rest of their lives. And my father-in-law died about 5 years ago or so, and I did not know that he had never been baptized, and I had prayed for both my in-laws for years. And when he was on his deathbed, literally, is when I found out that he'd never been baptized, and he decided he wanted to be baptized. So he was baptized by his half-brother, who was a minister in some church. And I never thought of it before, but I have to believe that the images of the Sacred Heart and the Immaculate Heart that were in their home for years had an influence on him deciding to be baptized at the end of his life.
No doubt about it. There is absolutely no doubt about that, and that is just and this is one of the reasons why we're encouraging this devotion here. It's not so much putting artwork up on your wall. That's part of it, but that is just a reminder of the reality behind that. And graces come through our devotions. These are not magic. They're not, it's not some magical thing or anything like that.
But Mary, it's not superstitious.
What you're talking about, Mary, is they had that in their presence. It was almost like they had the presence of Jesus and Mary right there with them, who of course want our conversion, our baptism, our salvation way more than we do, way more than our loved ones do. And so, Debbie, this is just another story, another example of how this is a good lesson for all of us. If you know somebody who maybe doesn't have religious artwork, or maybe a miraculous medal or a scapular or a rosary or something, give them one as a gift. Even if they're not Catholic, they may not fully understand it, but the graces will still be there.
Absolutely. And Mary, I just want to say real quickly, you gave that image to them from your heart. And look how, there's so much of a connection there. Like we said that at the beginning of the show about the heart in Jewish tradition, how it's so paramount and what it means, the life-giving force and the love. And look what you did out of love. And you let the Sacred Heart and the Immaculate Heart do its great work, and just by the image, because you have to, I agree with Jerry, you have to imagine when he's looking at it, it's going to penetrate. So Mary, you gave him just a beautiful gift, and then the good Lord took over. I think it's wonderful. God bless you for doing that. And we need more gifts like that.
Thank you, Mary. We're going to get to one more call if we can hear Maureen in Chicago listening on WSFI. Maureen, we have exactly about a minute and a half. Wanted to get you on take two with Jerry and Debbie. Go ahead.
Well, I'm so glad to talk to you guys. I was telling the screener that my husband and I just brought our 5 children through the 5 first Saturdays, and it is truly an amazing process. First of all, to be able to complete it with 5 little ones, ranging from 13 down to 2, and we just felt like we need the graces. And as we're learning more about our faith, learning all of these opportunities to earn these graces, we really wanted it. And it was tough. It was really tough just to complete, all that's required to really focus on it. And we really worked through it. And thanks be to God, through illnesses that would happen, a couple days before, we made it. And I'm sure we will repeat the process as everyone grows, at least when the bigger ones grow, but we wanted to accomplish it at least one time and just bring the whole family through it together. And it's really been neat because going to confession on Fridays and, meet us there after work and, we're going to make it happen. And then we turned it into a fun thing after Mass on Saturday. We'd go out for lunch, or we'd have Sundays at home, or, some ice cream, and it became like a real cool reward. Of course, we know the eternal reward that we're hoping for, right? But to help the kids get through it, just all that's involved, and it's really brought a lot of peace to our family, as you can hear a crying child in the background somewhere here.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
But there's always one.
That's beautiful.
But, we're seeking out all these opportunities, and we feel like little babies ourselves, just trying to take it in. We're like sponges, but we can't, we can't get through it all. But each little piece we can take a bite of and learn it with our kids.
Right.
That's what we're trying to do.
Right. Well,
Maureen,
that is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And the saying, the family that prays together stays together. And you're doing that in a very intentional way. And I think it's wonderful. So God bless you. I hope you get to benefit from all the great family blessings that you get to achieve from that. Also, too, if you heard the discussion today, if you don't have the Twin Hearts in your home, I would definitely consecrate your family to the Twin Hearts and have it blessed and put it up prominently in your home and experience and continue to experience the graces. Maureen, thank you so much. Everybody else, I'm so sorry we couldn't get to you. Boy, everybody started calling in and sharing their devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus and Immaculate Heart of Mary. But we have another show tomorrow, Jerry.
Yeah, and Helen and Jane and Cheryl, thanks for your emails. Adrienne and Beth and the others on social media. Tomorrow we're going to talk about listening to your gut. Have you ever had that gut instinct about something? Something told you this was right, or you had to make this decision or this move, and you followed that, and it was the right thing. Let's talk about that tomorrow. Until then, have a beautiful and blessed day.